We have heard rumors of an iteration of the Nintendo Switch for some time now, and it seems like we might see a different version of the console as early as next year if reports are to be believed. Naturally, some people are upset that their recently purchased console might be outdated and inferior in such a short amount of time. Is upscaling to 4K a possibility? What does this mean for third party? There are a ton of unknown factors at play, and it will probably be some time before we get the full picture. Nintendo is no stranger to iterative releases of their handheld devices, but the Switch would mark the first time they do so with a home console. With this being uncharted territory, it is honestly kind of exciting to see what they will do. What is going to make this a worthwhile upgrade for me though? I personally don't believe that they're going to do anything drastic here. Whatever this new Switch is, it's going to have to play nice with what the console currently does. There is no way that they abandon what they're currently doing in order to chase more power. That just isn't Nintendo's MO. So let's talk about what they can do so that this proposed upgrade is worth it for me. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about what Nintendo can do to make me replace my current Switch with a new one is make the transfer as easy as possible. As some of you may know, my original Switch was stolen during E3 of this year. Having to start over was not a fun experience. I lost all my save data, and at the time, cloud saves hadn't been implemented. If they want to incentivize people who are already owners to get a better version, then they need to make it so that migrating over is as easy and painless as possible. Aside from that, the first actual upgrade I want to mention is that this needs to have more internal storage. This one is relatively easy and I fully expect for them to do it. For me to upgrade though, it needs to have significantly more space than the current 32 gigs offered. It's almost laughable to see that little storage on a console in 2018. 500 gigs should be the bare minimum. I don't know that Nintendo increases it by that much, and SD cards are a cheap way to add storage, but they should get with the times. Storage is important, and if they want us to buy another console, they should make it so we can install more than a few games without having to spend more elsewhere. I know that Nintendo's first-party games are compressed really well, and you can install quite a few of those, but their bigger releases do take up to 14 gigs, and with newer third-party titles, you have to download more after even buying the physical version. Nintendo, let's fix this. Moving on to one of the biggest improvements they can make, let's talk about the screen. Currently, we have an LCD panel that handles 720p. I would love it if they can make it so that the screen is more vibrant and bring the resolution of portable play up to 1080p. This would make way for the dock resolution to be upgraded as well. While OLED is not likely to happen due to cost, the beauty of the screens on our phone's display is hard to ignore. It would be great if Nintendo could figure out a way to make a noticeable improvement in this department. Next up, we have dock performance. I think it is pretty unrealistic to expect 4K since a lot of games can't even handle 1080p while docked, but we have heard the rumor of upscaled 4K before, and this would most certainly make it a worthwhile upgrade for me. Native 4K is probably out of the question, but the Tegra architecture that the Switch uses can already handle the upscaling in other products, so it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. Unfortunately, a change of this scale would make it so that owners of the current Switch feel burned, but if they are going to release a new version of the Switch, why not make it worth it? 1080p handheld with dock gameplay possibly being upscaled to 4K would make the new version a day one purchase for me. Big games like Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3, and Fire Emblem Three Houses would especially take fantastic advantage of this. An improvement to battery life would probably be a huge help too. We know a lot of people use the Switch as a primarily handheld device, and more battery life never hurt anyone. I probably don't play handheld as often as most, but I would be lying if I didn't say the battery has died on me on a couple of occasions while traveling. Power banks are already a decent way to add some juice to the console, but if we're getting a new one, why not a battery better too? This one might be a little difficult since it directly contradicts the more power that it would need to power some of the stuff that I mentioned before, but I really think it's important for Nintendo to justify a new console existing, and these are all good ways of them doing so. Now, there's always the chance that this is a smaller version of the Switch that's handheld only, but at that point, this becomes a way easier choice for me. I am perfectly happy with the current size of the Switch. A more portable version doesn't move the needle for me in any direction. Sony and Microsoft have proven that consumers are perfectly fine with smaller iteration between full generations, so we shouldn't fault Nintendo for wanting to give it a try. Nintendo is going to have a very difficult time justifying this to people who already own a console, since they maybe recently paid up to $300 for it. I have a feeling Nintendo might even do some creative things that we can't even think about to make this purchase worth it. But let me know what you guys think. What does Nintendo need to do in order for you to line up on day one and purchase a Nintendo Switch, especially if you already have one? I know upscaled 4K is a big one for a lot of people, but I honestly don't know what Nintendo's going to do, and that's where the excitement comes in. Let us know in the comments below. We will, of course, continue to discuss this throughout the week because it is something so huge that is happening in the Nintendo side of the internet. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Maybe hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our other videos. And we will catch you on the next one. Switch Force out.